Hi, this is Chuck Hester with WRAL TechWire and our continuing series on the North Carolina Technology Association's tech startups to watch winners who will be celebrated at the NC Tech Awards coming up in December. Today, I have the privilege of talking to Rob Cooley. He is the CEO of Nuream and one of the winners of that award. Rob, thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. Really excited to represent Wilmington, and really appreciate you giving us a couple minutes for sure.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Nareem. Tell us about the genesis of it, how it started. I know you have two really good partners in that, but I'll let you take it from there. Talk about Nareem and what the company does and how it got started.
Yeah, fabulous. So Nuream is a neurodata science company that is going to be enabled by some really advanced transformative materials and fabrics that allow us to collect brain waves, curate them, protect them, and then turn that into usable information. So we're really trying to get to the science of the brain, harness and unleash the information locked in the brain. And we're going to start with sleep first. We're going to use our materials and our fabrics in a pillowcase with a dashboard model that allows us to collect brainwaves. So if you've ever done a sleep test or sleep apnea test, you wear these silly kind of EEG caps with sensors that are glued to your forehead. Completely invasive, uncomfortable, and really only used in a clinical environment. And so it doesn't represent really how your brain was operating while you're sleeping that night. So our materials will allow you to be where you are in your bed sleep environment. We're going to move to a compression wear t-shirt eventually, and then the wristband material. Not going to compete against Fitbit, Whoop, or Garmin, but we'll embed our technologies in their wristbands. And we're going to be able to collect the brainwaves, again, protect them, because neuro data is something that everybody should be very concerned about, and then turn that into usable dashboards and sleep scores to complement all the basic biometrics, but to give you a no-kidding environment to how your brain was operating in the right sleep stages for how long. And then with some really, really fun and interesting neuro AI and machine learning will then be able to help you predict how to improve your sleep. And then really you run your own sleep studies in your sleep environment, in your home, and then you can really see if those are really working for you. Following that, the sleep data is really, really valuable and rich in terms of leading indicators for other neurological diseases. It's a leading indicator for depression, mood, changes in mental health. The brain signals advance of conditions and disease states, and that information will be very, very helpful to allow us to provide an early intervention model. So if you are diagnosed with a particular neurological disease like MS, we'll be able to see the brain's response and its anomalies and disturbances that allow us to say, you probably have an exacerbation coming. Let's get you to your neurologist or to your doctor early, so it's not an emergent kind of requirement. And then following that, we're going to have a telemedicine capability at the edge. So clinicians will be able to watch your longitudinal neurodata. So that means that over time to watch your data, see for those changes that we just talked about, and see, boy, that really is an indicator of something. Let's come in now, take a look at it, address it, and then we'll be able to see whether the efficacy of science and protocols, so drugs or treatments or therapies, are actually working and putting the brain in the right responses. So it is an end-to-end, many different vertical industries that we have the opportunity to use the neurodata for, but our beachhead is certainly sleep and how we enhance sleep. And it's going to be, for those of 50% of all Americans have a hard time sleeping, and 2/3 of our warfighters have a hard time sleeping. And so this is a target-rich environment using some military parlance, but we're really excited to help folks like me. I've been in the military a couple of years and we just can't sleep. And so this dual use opportunity is really interesting for us, the Department of Defense, and really everybody else out there around the world.
And you're working with UNC Wilmington and their innovation and entrepreneurship organization. Tell us about that partnership.
Yeah, for sure. So the CIE, Heather McCorder and her team have been nothing but phenomenal. And really, this is a great way to talk about the ecosystem inside of all of Wilmington and North Carolina writ large. UNCW has been nothing but a great partner for ours. As a matter of fact, we start our first prototype data collection with the UNCW College of Health and Human Sciences. And so we're using their researchers, their students, to really be thoughtful in providing an opportunity for us to test the efficacy of our science, and then give the students and professors an opportunity to be really on the burgeoning edge or the cutting edge of some really interesting neuroscience research. And that partnership is great, and we want to continue to extend that. The CIE has been a rock steady environment for little startups like us. But certainly for the larger group, as we go from kind of startup through incubation and acceleration, again, Heather and her team have been just absolutely phenomenal. And that just leads to the larger incubation and startup system that's here, the ecosystem that's here. Jim Roberts has been, phenomenal and personally, carrying a load to those startup companies. And then, right, we collectively here in the Wilmington area want to be as a complement to the fintech recognition that we have here in Wilmington. We want to have a life sciences capability here as well. So we're working hard. There's a number of different companies that have some really interesting technologies and solutions. And again, through the CIE, through UNCW, and through Jim's, ecosystem and the ecosystems of ecosystems, it's really fun. Joe Colopy and Greg Beat just started, their version down here in Wilmington. They hosted their first event at the Wine Sampler, and it was a great event to kind of kick that off. So the combination of Jim and Joe together is really amazing. And Joe and I were classmates together at Chapel Hill at the Keenan Flagler Business School a couple of years ago. So Joe and I go way back. But it's absolutely fun to see this environment kind of grow.
Where does the funding come from for this organization? How have you funded the organization?
Right. So we are in a capital raise right now. We're in a safe agreement for about 2 million. We have about 790 in the bank right now. Some of that's from friends and family as the initial kind of tranche. We're looking at angel investors, some high net worth. Jim's WRAL organization has made some investments to us as well. We're looking at some angel syndicates. And then we're also looking at the non-dilutive grant money that comes out there from NIH, NSF, the DoD, DARPA, and then all the subgroups. So we've just submitted 3 different proposals. We're not going to become a grant house. We're going to become somebody that uses this non-dilutive grant money to accelerate and advance our technology and our solutions, which is the right way to do it. We're running always in parallel between industry and academia, and it's the right model for us to continue to move forward.
Excellent. And your go-to-market strategy, how soon will we be able to purchase the products that you're putting together?
Yeah, so I mentioned our prototype, we call it 1 Alpha, is working. That's where we're doing our initial testing to demonstrate the efficacy of the science, which means we can collect brainwaves without something stuck on your head. And then prototype 2 Alpha is actually the neurosensing materials. And so we have a number of different materials that are also well advanced. So to answer your question, it's 12 to 15 months before we have a commercial product, which would be that pillowcase pillow covering. So there'll be a SaaS model behind it to make sure we can kind of watch your data and collect it longitudinal. And then we really want to be thoughtful in how we use that data to provide you not only the trending analysis backwards, but looking forward to improve your sleep. And then you can see what you need to do to improve it. And then, things will change over time. And then you can know those indicators and those variables that are affecting your sleep, both negatively and positively.
Right. And you are one of many startups in the Wilmington area, but also in North Carolina in general. What's your take on the startup community in North Carolina?
I think it's great. So I mentioned kind of Jim Roberts. We've been the benefactor of NC Biotech, NC Tech. There's a number of defense industry supporters out there, which have been really amazing. One of the ones I'd like to highlight is the North Carolina Center for Optimizing Military Performance, NC Comp. It was started between really the Geneva Foundation, which is now the Fort Bragg, or managed by the Fort Liberty, I got to say these right, Fort Liberty Research Institutes and RTI International, and then UNC, right? Those are the Planck founding members, and it's got almost 90 different universities and small businesses that are developed around this defense ecosystem. We're one of the larger states that have so many different bases here. We have lots of transitioning warfighters. And our ability then is to give back to those on active duty, those in transition, and certainly those in the veteran community and population as well. So that's a big component of what's going on, here in the States. Unfortunately, Wilmington does suffer a little bit from access to capital, right? The Charlotte area, the Raleigh area have larger angel networks and some other kind of individuals, but we do have the ability to crack that code. And again, those ecosystems that we talked about are really kind of getting startups like ours into the right space. And then it's our job to sell ourselves to these very, very successful individuals and syndicates.
Excellent. Rob Cooley, we look forward to seeing you in person at the NC Tech Awards coming up on December 3rd and celebrating and the award for you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, sir. Great to talk.